I was the mistake child no one wanted. The one they said should never have been born. Why was she not aborted? They whispered. What use is this girl to the family? A rejected daughter, born in the season of sorrow. My father's sons mocked me. My mother's heart broke daily. Then death came to our home, and the widow was denied, chased, and maltreated by her own sons. They took her husband's land, they took her peace, and they said, a woman has no right among men. But the tears of a mother never fall alone. Every night, her tears became my mother's food. Her cries became my lullaby. And the earth was listening. Welcome to Ife Ancestral Tales. This is the story of my life. The night my mother's tears spoke and the spirits chose me. My people, gather and listen. This is not a story told to chase sleep away. It is a story that carries the footprints of the ancestors. I am Obianyuju, the last daughter of Mama Nkem and Papa Nkem of the great clan of Umuocha. Some people said my birth was a mistake, that the gods laughed when I came, for Mama had stopped giving birth long before. But the elders say, when the river sends an extra wave, it has a message from the deep. My birth was that message.
With all your strength.
Papa was a great hunter, strong as the Iroko tree. His voice could scatter goats from the farm and draw children to laughter. But when his shadow fell and the earth drank his blood, our family's peace vanished like smoke from burning wood. The day Papa joined the ancestors, the skies cried till the streams overflowed. Even the drums of Umuocha were silent for 7 market days. Mama sat in front of the hut, her head tied with white cloth. She neither spoke nor ate. Her spirit had gone far away, chasing Opa's memory through the wind. But when the morning ended, something dark began. Our 2 elder brothers, Obina and Ezekwe, started speaking in low tones with the uncles. They forgot that the ground had not yet cooled from Papa's burial fire. They said, we are now the men of this house. The Yambans, the goats, the cocoa land, they belong to us. Mama looked at them, her eyes like red embers. My sons, she said, have you no shame? Your father's bones are still fresh, yet your tongues already taste inheritance. But they did not hear her. The uncles whispered to them that women had no standing in matters of land. So they took Papa's spear, his farms, and his banquis. They even sent word to the tenants who farmed their father's land that the harvest would now belong to them. My heart burned like dry pepper. But what could a last-born girl say in the gathering of men? I remember that night. The night the moon refused to rise. Mama sat beside the hearth, her wrapper tied tight. She said quietly, Obianyuju, my daughter, it is only the gods that know the worth of a child before the world sees it. Then she told me how she had carried me when she was already old. How the oracle had said I was the one that will carry her mother's name into the dawn. She didn't understand what that meant. Neither did I. But the spirits did. As the moons passed, my brothers grew proud, treating Mama like a stranger. They laughed when she wept, mocked her weakness, and even took her last bag of cowries, the one she kept for her burial cloth. Then one Harmattan morning, Mama fell ill. Her body became light like dry leaf. She sent a message through the village drummer, summoning her eldest daughter, Uzo Amaka, who lived in another part of Umuocha with her husband, a great palm wine tapper. Uzo Amaka came running. She lifted Mama and took her home to care for her. Before she left, Mama touched my forehead and said, "When the lion dies, the cub must learn to roar." I didn't understand. Not yet. But that night, something strange happened. A wind rose from the east, strong and sharp. The fire in the hearth flared, and Papa's hunting spear, the one my brothers had hidden inside the yam barn, began to glow faintly red. The hens scattered, the goats cried, and I had a whisper, not with my ears, but in my spirit. Obianyuju, the blood of your father calls for balance. And that was how my story, The Unwanted Daughter, truly began.
When a woman's tears fall to the ground, the earth remembers. But when those tears fall because of her own children, even the ancestors rise from their sleep. After Mama left for Uzuamaka's compound, silence filled our home like morning smoke. The compound that once echoed with laughter and the smell of roasting yam now breathed bitterness. Obinna and Ezekwe, my brothers, began to act like kings. They slaughtered one of Papa's goats for a feast without libation, without calling the elders, without even a word to the ancestors. My people, that was the beginning of their downfall. Because in our village, a man who eats without greeting the spirits eats from his own grave. That night, I dreamt. In the dream, I was walking beside the river Ogugu, the sacred one that no child dares to fetch water from at night. The moon was full, shining on the waves like silver cowries. Suddenly, the river began to boil. From its heart rose a tall figure, half smoke, half flame, holding Papa's hunting spear. He called my name, Obianuju. My knees shook like new yam stalk in the wind. Your mother's tears have reached the throne of the ancestors, he said, his voice deep as thunder. You are the child born for balance. You will lift the cause, but your hands must stay clean. Do not fight with strength, fight with light. I tried to speak, but my mouth was sealed. Then he struck the ground with his spear, and the river turned calm. When I woke, the air around me was cold and sweet, like morning dew. At the door of my hut lay a single white feather, soft, shining, untouched by dust. I knew then that Papa had spoken. Days later, strange things began to happen. Each night, the goat in the pen would cry, and my brother's yam barn started to rot from the inside. They accused each other of witchcraft. The uncles ran to the dibia, the village seer. When they arrived at the shrine, the Dibia laughed before they even spoke. He said, "Fools, the spirits are not blind. You took from a widow what the earth did not give you. The tears of your mother are fire in the eyes of your fathers. Return what you stole, or the wind will carry your names to darkness." But pride is a disease stronger than madness. They spat on the ground and said, "Old man, keep your riddles. We are the sons of Inkem, not slaves to charms." The Dibia only shook his cowries and muttered, "Even the stubborn yam knows it will one day face the fire." That evening, thunder struck the Iroko tree in our compound, the one Papa had planted the year Obinna was born. It split into two like a god. The next morning, a messenger came running from Ozuamaka's house. He said, "Come quickly. Mama's spirit is walking between two worlds." My heart dropped. I ran barefoot, dust rising behind me like a spirit trail. When I reached the hut, Mama was lying on a mat, her breath shallow. Ozuamaka sat beside her, weeping. Mama lifted her trembling hand and called me close. "Obianoju, my light. The gods have shown me you must finish what I could not. Forgive your brothers, but do not let darkness swallow this family. The blood of your father and the voice of your mother now live inside you. When you see the white feather, know that the ancestors walk with you."
Guide you.
Then her eyes closed, and the fire in the hearth went out by itself. That day, I became an orphan. But in truth, that was the day I became something more. That night, as her body lay on the mat, the white feather appeared again, this time glowing faintly at her feet. I picked it up and heard her voice in the wind. "A girl child is the light. Even when men forget, the spirits remember."
My people, you see, when the ancestors rise to judge, they do not shout. They simply remove their protection, and the guilty destroy themselves. After Mama joined our fathers, the sky over Umocha turned heavy. Birds stopped singing. The air smelled of rain that refused to fall. We buried her beside Papa, under the shade of the old palm tree. As the last handful of sand touched her body, the wind lifted the white feather from my hand and carried it to the sky. It did not fall back. The elders murmured. They said, "That child's chi walks with open eyes." But Obinna and Ezekwe only smirked. They refused to attend Mama's burial rites. They said, "She has joined her husband. What more is there to cry for?" Even the elders shook their heads. Because in our land, when a man forgets his mother's tears, his shadow forgets him too. A few market days after the burial, strange things began to dance through the village. At night, people heard the echo of footsteps on the roof of our compound. Footsteps heavy like a hunter's stride. Palm wine gourds shattered by themselves. The goats refused to eat, and whenever my brothers tried to light the hearth, the fire would not stay. They ran again to the Dibia. This time, the old man refused to welcome them inside. He stood at the doorway and said, "The spirits you mocked are now sitting in your father's compound. Go and make peace before they begin to eat." But pride is a deep disease, my people. They cursed him and returned, their hearts swollen with arrogance. That night, the moon came out red, red like burning oil. And as the cock crowed the first time, the ground beneath the compound trembled. I ran outside shouting for my brothers. Obinna was lying by the yam barn, shaking, his eyes wide open but empty. Ezekwe was kneeling beside him, calling his name, but no sound came from his lips. When the elders gathered, they saw the sign. Papa's hunting spear had risen from where it was buried beside the split Iroko tree, standing upright in the earth like it had been planted by invisible hands. The oldest elder, Mokike, looked at me and said, "Child, the spirits have chosen to speak through your blood. You must lead the cleansing. You are the light in this darkness." My people, I was afraid. Who was I, a young girl, to lead the ritual of men? But the old women surrounded me and sang the song of Omuada, the ancient hymn that calls the strength of mothers. Bwanyi bu ife, ife budu, Omuada, carry your mother's fire. Their voices rose like waves, and my fear melted away. The feather appeared again, in the air floating between me and the spear. Then I understood. The ancestors were waiting. That night, I went alone to the river Ogugu, carrying a calabash filled with palm wine, 7 cowries, and a lickle of the earth from Mama's grave. The river was calm, shining under the moonlight like a sleeping snake. I knelt by the bank and poured the libation. Spirits of my father and mother, the men you blessed have forgotten your ways. Let your daughter be your voice. The wind rose, not wild, but gentle. The trees began to whisper. Then the voice came again, the same deep one from my dream. Child of balance, the light does not fight the darkness. It simply shines until darkness cannot breathe. When I opened my eyes, the river had taken the calabash away, and on the sand before me, written in clear marks, was a single word: forgive. I wept because I finally understood vengeance was not mine to take. The spirits had already done their part. My duty was to restore peace. The next morning, I gathered the elders, my sister Uzoamaka, and even the trembling uncles. Obinna and Ezekwe were there too, pale, weak, broken by fear. I raised the feather and said, "Let there be no more shadow in our father's house. Let what was taken return to its place. Let peace reign again." We poured palm wine on the ground 3 times, and as we did, a gentle rain began to fall, the first rain since Mama's death. The earth drank it greedily. The spear that had stood upright slowly tilted, then lay flat on the ground, silent again. The elders sighed. The curse was gone. That night, for the first time in many moons, our compound smelled of roasted yam again. But inside me, A quiet strength was growing, a light the world had not yet seen.
The rain that fell that morning washed more than dust. It washed away bitterness. The air in Umucha became clean again, as if the earth had exhaled. For moons after the cleansing, peace returned to our compound. The goats gave birth again, the barns filled up, the children played without fear. But something had changed, something inside me. The white feather that once glowed before my eyes no longer floated in the air. It lived quietly in my spirit. When I spoke, people listened. When I prayed, even the fire answered. The elders began to call me Ada Enkemoku, the daughter who carries her father's fire. I was no longer the mistake child. I was the keeper of balance. One evening, as the red sun sank behind the hills, Obina came to me. His pride was gone. His eyes were wet like river stones. He knelt. Sister, forgive me. I did not know the weight of a mother's tear. I lifted him up and said softly, when darkness learns humility, light does not mock it. Rise, my brother. Ezekwe came next. He placed a carved gourd in my hands. Inside it, the cowries he had taken from Mama's mat. Let this return to where it belongs, he whispered. I took the gourd and poured a libation on the ground. Ancestors, your sons have remembered the path. The wind sighed gently through the trees, and that was the end of the curse. Soon, word spread through the neighboring villages about how a young maiden had brought her broken family back to peace using nothing but truth and courage. People came from far and near to seek counsel. Some brought kola nuts, others came with tears, but all left with calm hearts. One moonlit night, the oldest elder, Wonkike, gathered everyone in the village square. He said, since the time of our fathers, we have said that a man carries the lineage. But today we have seen with our eyes that a woman carries the light that keeps the lineage alive. From this day, in Umocha, no girl child shall be called less. When a man bears a daughter, he shall pour libation and say, the gods have blessed me twice. The crowd roared with joy. The drums spoke. Women danced, their anklets jingling like laughter. The men bowed their heads in respect. I stood before them, wearing a white wrapper and a coral bead on my forehead, the sign of a chosen one. I raised the white feather high. Our mothers were not weak. There were seeds waiting for rain. The world forgot their strength, but the earth has reminded us. From today, let no child call her daughter a mistake, for the spirit may be watching. The people shouted, Wanyibuife, Wanyibuife. And even the stars above the village blinked brighter that night. Years passed. I never married, not because I could not, but because my life had become a part of many people. They called me the woman of the white feather, the one who listens to the ancestors. When disputes rose, I settled them. When children fell ill, I prayed. When strangers came, I welcomed them with kola nuts and stories of light. And so peace remained in Umocha.
Sometimes, when I sit beside the river Ogugu, I still feel the cool wind touch my face. I know it is Papa's spirit walking by, whispering, "You have done well, my daughter." And I smile because I have learned that a daughter is not born to replace a man. She is born to restore what men forget. Nyangwibu Ife. A woman is light. Without her, even the sun loses its warmth. A daughter is not a burden. She is a bridge between generations. And the light of a good woman can chase away a darkness that generations of men could not defeat. The story has ended, but its wisdom still walks among us. Remember, my people, the tears of a mother never fall in vain, and the light of a daughter never dies. I am Ife Ancestral Tales, where the ancestors speak and we listen. Subscribe, comment, like, and share. Let this story travel beyond the village walls. Carry it to those who have forgotten our ways. Let them remember that the spirit of Africa still breathes. Be guided, be blessed, till the ancestors speak again.